Did I ever think that such a treacherous story could happen in my life? The wife I thought was my support, my faithful companion, turned out to be the protagonist of my nightmares. In this video, I will tell you how I discovered that my wife had cheated on me 3 times with my friend. Words cannot convey the shock and pain that overwhelmed me the moment I found out the truth. But the story didn't end with just the cheating. Along with my wife came tears, and I realized that fate was up to its devious game. I am ready to tell you about how I dealt with this drama, the decisions I made, and how I finally found the path to healing. Are you ready to enter this world of amazing stories of infidelity and destiny drama? Get ready for an amazing journey where truth and betrayal intertwine, and the power of love and overcoming becomes the key to a new chapter of life. Welcome to a world where tears mingle with hope and the dramas of destiny shape us as human beings. This is going to be very interesting, so make yourselves comfortable and we will begin. Hello everyone, my story is extremely confusing. I've been wondering for a long time where to take it. Writing about this story is painful but fair. I met my wife 9 years ago. We dated, were friends, she was a virgin. We dated for 2 years, then decided to live a civil marriage. I worked hard, got into debt, opened a business, constantly worried about debt. I worked, waited for support from my other half, moral support, but at the time she didn't need it. She was living in some, her own world, wanted to rest, and so on. We lived like a lot of people. We fought and made up. 3 years passed, we officially got married, and our son was born. At the same time, we started to be friends with a married couple. We visited each other. It was fun. We had a common acquaintance, who once showed me the correspondence of the friend's wife with him. I was shocked. He said that he was sleeping with her while her husband was at work. I didn't believe him, telling myself that it couldn't be, and here was my mistake. I decided to check it out, signed up an agent, and offered my friend's wife a friendship. She agreed. After a while, she offered to meet me. I asked why. The answer was to drink coffee. I got the hint. I said no, writing that I respect your husband and my wife, to which she replied to me. A girl like that asks you to meet her, and you say no. I am not the first year of marriage, and so on. I said that I would think about it. I was waiting for a catch and did not dare to take that step. I was afraid it was a test of my wife. The correspondence continued. Then one day, this girl wrote my wife a question. What would you do if your husband cheated on you? My wife replied that she would blow it all to hell, thus giving my wife suspicion. One day I came home. My wife picked up the password to the agent and read it, and asked me how to understand it and so on. She made a terrible scandal. She wanted to call her husband. I didn't let him do that. I said that nothing had happened, it was just correspondence. I thought about the consequences. I thought God forbid something happened to her husband. I didn't want to lose my reputation. I thought my wife might say his wife slept with a mutual friend, but no more, that it wouldn't happen again. She wouldn't calm down. Here's another mistake I made. I hit her, bringing her to her senses. In response, I heard the loud phrase, "I'll get back at you." I did not understand the full meaning of those words at that moment. The next day, I bought flowers, asked for forgiveness, begged for forgiveness. She said she wanted to go and visit her sister to calm down. So what did I do? I was totally fine with it. She left in the morning and came back in the evening. I saw the look in her eyes. It was devastated and frightened. She had been crying all night. I asked what was wrong, but the answer I got was, "It's okay." She cried a lot. As time went on, things got better. My attitude to her changed only for the better, but she kept pushing me away. I was growing the business, the work was going great. Everything seemed to be going well. Relationships got better, and I was proud of my wife. Everyone who knew about the story with the correspondence said that your wife is great. Take care of her. She did the right thing in letting the situation go. 2 years have passed, I get a letter from an unknown girl on my classmates. Watch out for your wife. And that she found correspondence from 2 years ago that allegedly my wife and her husband were communicating, but there was nothing there. I asked her to forward me a copy. I couldn't believe it. How could I? After reading it, I was emotional. When I got home, I made a scandal. My wife was crying a lot, asking for forgiveness. The question I had was this: did you go out with him or not? The answer killed me. Yes, I dated him 3 times, but nothing happened. She cried and cried. I wanted to believe her, but something was bothering me. 2 weeks later, we went to visit her grandfather on his birthday, and then the picture of the rapin came. Her aunt says, "Watch your wife, she's taking a walk." It was a joke, but apparently there is someone above us who controls these processes. I was in a stupor. When I got home, after a lot of pressure, she confessed that she had slept with him the day she left to visit, supposedly with her sister. And that was one time. She was getting back at me or herself. That would have been fine. I also stupidly told her that I cheated on her 3 years ago with prostitutes. It was just a balancing act. That would have been okay. I knew the guy. It all came out. Here's the story. This guy was her friend's boyfriend. And so I just happened to pick up the phone and found a text message from my mom. "Daughter, come home, it's late." On this day, at this time, I was already home. Asked where you were, I got the answer that a friend had come with her boyfriend and was near the house. I made a scandal. Told her never to lie to me again. I hate that. And she always told me only the truth. Turns out the deer was coming on to my then girlfriend, but she refused to go out with him. I was there for him. What more could I ask for? And the fact that he was dating her friend, that stopped her. I found that out after living with a man for 7 years. She wanted to break up with me. At the time, she wanted to break up with me. I said, "Think about it. Let's give it a try. Maybe it will work out." And we stayed together. I don't deny it. I'm possessive and a one-woman man. When we were living in a common law relationship, we had a big fight once. She went to visit her mother for a day. When she arrived, she wanted to leave. I asked for forgiveness again. I was at fault for that situation. And she, sorry and me, stayed. The second time she went out with him after we had a fight. He told her that he got married and his wife gave him a child. They met as friends. He complained that she made him marry her and so on. Got a bit of a hitch in general. That's how a friendly encounter turned into one-time sex. Revenge. And so she was texting with him like that, flirting with each other. My first warning was when we were still living in a common law relationship. I told her she shouldn't hang out with him. I gave her a warning. She understood and stopped. When my son was born, a year later, I started going to the gym. And she did it again, started hanging out with him. I found out about all of this from her 6 months ago. And basically, he was provoking her. He'd write, "Are you cheating on your husband?" To which she replied, "I'm not cheating. I'm not going to cheat." It was a one-time thing. Polygraph confirmed it. She was interested in him. I admit that. But the fact that she cheated out of her own stupidity is a fact. She doesn't want a divorce. She's asking for forgiveness. I feel guilty and am wondering what to do. We are both to blame for this situation, and we both should live with this burden till the end of days. Because I cannot leave either my son or my wife to their own fate. We are both fools. And we hurt each other very badly. Maybe in time, everything will fall into place. And it's just simply a challenge. There are so many kind people who are willing to help ruin what has been years in the making. Thanks to all of them. And most importantly, we were the ones destroying our own happiness. Just like I dreamed, and a family with a capital letter. Everything is still going to happen, and it seems to be a small thing in life. We're not the only ones like this. All people make mistakes. Although maybe that's no excuse. Thank you for your attention. Sorry, embarrassing. I never thought it could be, but it happens. We are our own well-wishers, and we make our own problems. And, for you to advise me, I'm honestly on the fence. Dear author, thank you for the interesting story you sent us, but here's the thing. It seems to me that when you wrote the dear most attentive, please note, it was only once in the whole story. You must have been talking about yourself. I really hope so. I hope you understand everything very well, because just reading the story for the first time already confirms the fact that the treason was not at all once. And it started back in the days, I take it, not memorable, when you and your wife first started dating. But come on, in principle, what was, let's deal with what is now. Tell the author, do you at least understand that the cheating was not on the first date, as she told you, and it was not a one-time action? You understand what it looks like a woman dating a man, and no otherwise. The woman pushes a man to the line, flirts with him through correspondence, then they meet, they have it happen. And then what, 2 more meetings, sit hands together, support or what? Talk under the moon, what nonsense. The author, pull yourself together. Find your balls in the end and admit your wife is a whore. I take it you never cheated, right? You had only correspondence. And ask yourself now the question how it happened that she very quickly, learning about it, broke up allegedly to her sister, and there was also the fact of your betrayal, or rather betray you. How? And you do not think that they had it even earlier, and you did not think about the fact that maybe this guy is not one at all. There may be several. I will be honest, on our channel dramas of fate stories abound when women, and not only women, but men too, there are a couple of such stories, manage to keep on the side of 2 or even 3 people as a lover. Think about it, please. You can still save everything. By the word everything, I mean your life and your prospects. If you pull yourself together now, if you pull yourself together and just get up and leave this family, start your life, pay the elements, and so on. Don't fall for this casual, I'm sure, play. I'm sure she's crying abuse. Don't fall for this deception on her part, that she feels so bad. She's very sorry, and it was just one time. Then you're destined for a happy life if you can do it. If not, then I feel sorry for you. Okay, let's say your wife only cheated on you once. You know where once, it will happen again. Once she gets really jealous of you, when, I don't know, in general for example, you get too warm and close to one of the guests. Let it even be her friend. But for her, it will already be a sign and enough reason to quickly run and fall in another on. Well, you know what I mean. And now on to the second story. Dear viewers, today I want to share with you one of the most shocking cheating stories I could ever imagine. I come home after a long day at work, filled with stress and fatigue, and there, my wife, who I thought was my rock, is sitting next to a mysterious stranger named Zor. My heart sinks and the world around me crumbles. What is happening? How did she end up in the arms of this man I know nothing about? In this video, I'm going to enter the world of amazing stories of wife cheating and fate drama to unravel the mystery that has come before me. I invite you to join me on this amazing journey where betrayal and deception are intertwined and life teaches us the most unpredictable lessons. Turn up the volume, and here we go. If a married woman has an affair on the side, it does not at all mean that she loves her lover and does not love her husband. If she continues to live with her husband while having a lover, it does not mean that she still loves her husband. She just doesn't love anyone but herself. A man and a woman are either together or they are not. If either of them seeks pleasure on the side, it is no longer an attitude, much less love. When you love, no one else is needed, no one at all. If you are interested in someone other than the person you love, that's it. We are over. This story was told to me by a close friend after years of our friendship. There is nothing exciting in it. It is not without reason that they say all happy families are alike, but unhappy ones are each unhappy in their own way. So here, a fairly ordinary story of betrayal and betrayal of a once beloved man. I will try to present his story as he told it to me, and for convenience I will do it in the first person, a little literary treatment. At the beginning of my life, it is hard to call it a good one. My parents were married early enough. My mother was barely 19 and my father was 21. They were passionately in love, as they are. And 9.5 months after a quite modest wedding, I was born. But after a while, my mother suddenly realized that living in abject poverty was not her thing and marriage to my father was a fatal mistake. She found herself a rich lover and not really bothering to leave my father. And my father grieved a little and soon found himself a new mistress. It is clear that the 3-year-old son just got under his feet, and my mother's new friend was also not particularly eager to raise someone else's child. And my mother, without thinking twice, sent me to an orphanage. She just took me to the orphanage and relinquished my parental rights. She just took me to the orphanage, wrote a paper saying that she was giving up her child, and disappeared from my life forever. That's how I ended up in the orphanage, an orphan with living parents. I won't tell you about my life on government food. It was all good and bad, but I managed to get through to graduation. Where to go? I decided to join the Army. I served 2 years and entered a military school. 4 years later, I finished, and, as a lieutenant, I joined the Army. I served almost 5 years. I was in and out of the Army, and I suffered a lot in the hot spots until I was shot in the spine. I somehow recovered, but found myself unfit for further service. The Army sent me back to civilian life. True, with pension, captain's shoulder straps, and medal for bravery. I was a mechanical engineer by civilian profession. A month after my demobilization, I got a job as a turner at a small factory. A year later, I was promoted to foreman of the preparatory section in the mechanical department, and soon was appointed head of the department. Higher engineering education also helped. Business was going well, and in 2 years I was promoted to deputy director. My career was impetuous, but I plowed day and night. The work was work, but it was time to start a family, to get married first. I met a pretty girl. I courted her for half a year, sent her sweets, flowers. We traveled together to the south, to the warm sea. I realized that I loved her more than life itself. From the moment we met, I made no secret of the fact that I was a grandfather at home. We are, cautious attitude. So, people without lineage and tribe. By the time I was 32, I was in a Lindy position. A service car, that's all. I proposed. My girlfriend did not break down and agreed immediately. And so I became a family man. We lived well with Tanya. That was my wife's name. She was 4 years younger than me and worked in a beauty salon as a hairdresser. She had more than enough money. One thing was bad. It did not work out for us with children. How many doctors we had to visit, words can't describe it. The answer was the same everywhere. Everything is ok, the children will come. So we waited, or rather I waited and waited. We lived in service 3-room apartment with the right of further purchase, furnishings, furniture, not worse than the others. After a year or so, my Tatiana began to change. She got prettier right before my eyes. She changed her hair, updated her closet, got a new ring, silk underwear on her hair. Every day going to work as a holiday. I ask her, "Who are you dressing up for?" And she says, "What? Do I have to look like a freak? Are you jealous of me, my friend?" Well, I'm not jealous yet. She didn't give me any reason to be, but all her metamorphosis looked very suspicious. From the outside, it seems pretty clear. A lover appeared, but in real life, you believe your beloved to the last. And of course, you don't want to see the obvious. And so I blinked away bad thoughts, and so with some time began to delay my wife at work. It was her friend's birthday, or an urgent order, or she went out to her client's house. She comes home late, won't get out of the bathroom for an hour. With me, she is as gentle as a cat. Then she hisses like a snake. Sometimes she scolded me for no reason. It is true that she began to earn more money, but my animal instincts from the army told me that something was wrong here. I was about to take a sneak peek at what my beloved wife was doing, but it was too late. But here chance intervened. I was going on a business trip, almost a month. Our partners had an assembly line stopped, and we were assembling this line, so we had to repair it. When we parted, Tanya even cried, only she didn't wave her handkerchief after me. I myself was almost moved to tears and firmly promised to call and try not to stay too long. I kissed her, held her close to me, and left for the airport. After checking in for the flight and dropping a text message to my beloved wife, I was about to walk to the boarding terminal as I got a call from the director and was told that the conveyor belt had been run without us and we could go home. I tried several times to call Tatiana and make her happy, but my wife's phone was off. Okay, I took a cab, and after buying flowers, champagne, and candy on the way, I drove home. I decided to have a romantic candlelit evening with my wife about the return of my beloved husband. As if on wings, I flew up to the 4th floor and used my key to open the front door. I didn't ring the bell on purpose. Surprise! The only light in the apartment was in the bedroom, and Tony was bright. He must be reading a book. I cautiously opened the door and was stunned. My Tanya, completely naked, was on all fours, resting her hands on the headboard of the bed. Behind her, also in whatever she was wearing, grinning in a triumphant grin, was an ape-like, hairy male, and loving my wife rhythmically. With one hand, he held her by the hair. All my wife did was scream in a fit of passion. Yes, yes, more for her, you are my best husband. Both characters were so deeply engrossed in what they loved that they didn't notice anything around them. I stood for a while, as if in a stupor, silently observing the coitus process, and then I coughed politely. The man kept nodding back and forth by inertia for a while, until Tatiana cried out frightenedly and covered herself with a sheet. My lover, unlike mine, was not yet frightened into his wife, but flopped on me like a buffet. Who are you? Get out of here, or I'll punch you in the face. He growled in a distinctive accent and went at me, grinning his unshaven face. That's my woman. What a bastard. He didn't even cover himself. I stepped to my right, dodging a direct punch to the face, and hit him over the head with the champagne bottle. The bottle burst, scattering shards mixed with foam. The man grunted and collapsed on the carpet. He didn't look like he needed any more. It was later I realized that I could have killed him. But then, Tatiana squeaked something, but under my eyes immediately silence. Stepping over the still lying body, I went to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and drank at once. For some reason, I was very thirsty. In the bedroom, there was some kind of commotion, and then the front door slammed. It looked like the lover had left. He's a lively bastard. 10 minutes later, Tanya leaked into the kitchen. Yura, she was trying to explain something to me. She whimpered and begged my forgiveness, sang the old woman's song about the lack of attention, about how I stopped seeing her as a woman. She even went so far as to say that she had cheated out of a great love for me. According to her, it turned out that the more a woman loves a man, the more often she cheats on him. And if I forgave her, she would give me children, and we would live together as a happy family. I listened to this nonsense in silence and wanted only one thing: to make her disappear from my life. We were divorced quickly, since we had no property claims or children. Tormented by life, a point to stand aunt knocked a stamp in my passport, and the basis was single. Only this circumstance did not make me happy at all. After the divorce, Tatiana did not leave attempts to get back to me. Came even to the director of the plant, and sobbing at the top of her voice, vividly told me how she loved me and how to punish the poor woman for an innocent prank was so cruel. The hairy monkey turned out to be the director of the grocery market. There were some attempts to get at me, but I cynically promised to cut off his. No, not what you think, just his head. I was so convincing that he believed me, and no longer sought romantic meetings with me. How later went the personal life of Tatiana, I do not know. I was not interested. and I came to the conclusion that it was necessary to change my life. I quit my job at the plant, gave up my apartment, and left for Siberia. The past doesn't count. Dear listeners, thank you for watching this video and enjoying today's stories. Thank you for writing comments, give your likes, subscribe to the channel. Write your opinion. How do you like this story? I really enjoyed it. See you soon.